Welcome to this edition of Weather to Watch. Lots of swirls all over the United States here on this first day of May 2025. I'll detail where the storms are expected and who's going to be hot and who's going to be cold. Hello, everyone. We're starting out our discussion today on Thursday, the first day of May, with our water vapor satellite loop. Water vapor is a great way of finding swirls in the atmosphere, and we've got a ton of them. We've got one just off the northeast coast of the United States, and we also have another one out over the Atlantic. We've got the one we're going to talk about a little bit more affecting the continental U.S. here over the Great Lakes. We got another swirl over here just around L.A., and even a little bit of a kind of a dip or a swirl off the northwest coast of the U.S. So it's just interesting. So water vapor is not really a cloud cover. And the cloud cover is on here. It's the white and the blue. But what this does is it actually uses satellite remote technology to sense the water vapor in the atmosphere. So you get these swirls show up because it draws dry air in a lot and just really annotates the swirling motion in the cloud cover. It's kind of interesting to watch. But visible satellite is still really good this time of year when we have full sunshine when I record this, and you can see all kinds of interesting features, including the fact that we have this rotation around this low right here. We've got a smattering of thunderstorms showing up here. Fortunately, not as many as previous days, but you can see them here. We'll take a closer look at that and some of this activity down here in Texas here in a minute. Generally speaking, it's a quieter weather pattern, but there are still some things to look out for, and generally it's kind of cooler too. If we look at the 500 millibar flow, I'll use this to find the swirls too, because when you see these X's in these areas of low pressure like this one off California, that just means that the flow of the winds is through these channels like that. So that helps to define that particular swirl. But sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes we have a trough of low pressure like this, and also another weaker one like this that helps to fuel low pressure at the surface, which I'll show you here coming up next. Well, if we're looking at the surface map, we got a cold front, warm front combination here with that low pressure center over southern Lake Michigan. It's not real intense. Its circulation is kind of broad, actually. But notice there's one front here, another one in the northern plains. So this is a pattern that is bringing unseasonably cool air to much of the country. And I'll tell you later whether that's going to last or not when we take a look at some of the temperature patterns coming up in the later forecast. Let's take a look at the northeastern U.S. It's nice in New England. High clouds making some way in, maybe some middle-level clouds too. This is a little closer look. We see the bubbly activity here in the satellite image. That indicates thunderstorms are growing. And we also have a few showers back behind that there in Indiana, just off to the east of Chicago, and just some cumulus clouds that are developing in the slightly unstable air in the wake of the latest front. If we take a look at advisories, there is a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for this area right here. It's smack dab in the center of where severe storms were forecast to be today. I'll show you those outlooks here in a minute. Still pretty wet in Oklahoma and more rain coming their way. I'll talk about that too. And another severe thunderstorm watch there between San Antonio and Dallas, also including parts of the Austin area. And that activity is ramping up a little bit too. Well, as I said, the severe weather outlook updated here early in the afternoon does have that level 2 out of 5 severe risk in yellow all throughout this area here, kind of like a boomerang. And that watch area was right in here. So that's working out pretty well according to the forecast. And then there's sort of a backlash area of severe weather that goes backwards into Oklahoma and parts of North Texas as well. There is a slight risk of tornadoes with this activity in the severe thunderstorm watch box. And you can get a tornado in a severe thunderstorm watch area. It's always a possibility. But this is a 2% risk. So on the tornado scale, it's not grand by any means. But if they were real worried about it, it would have been a tornado watch. So we're kind of in that area where hopefully nothing will come of it and the storms will never reach that level of organization. The severe weather outlook for Friday has a pretty long area, once again, of level 1 activity from Albany and parts of New York State all the way down to Mexico, with the more enhanced activity in that area of yellow there. Again, that's for Friday. And then for Saturday, this continues to move off and the eastern part of the U.S. is still seeing that level 1 threat. Much of the central U.S., though, is quieting down for a change. I also do produce a separate product called Severe Weather Outlooks on YouTube, and if you want to check out what happens beyond Saturday, you can look at that product as well. This is precipitation that is forecast over the next 7 days, including today, and I show you two highlight areas. This one includes New York City and Philadelphia, and areas just off to the west of New York City and north of Philadelphia, where they are forecasting about 5-inch, maybe even a little bit higher totals in that area right in here. The southern part of New York State and eastern Pennsylvania being the highlighted areas here. And then I'm going to shift gears to Oklahoma and Texas, where, again, we have widespread bullseyes of rain due to several weather systems, but a lot of that comes in early next week. And this right here is just flow that's coming in off the Gulf with pretty rich moisture supply interacting with weak but effective flow. Actually, weak flow helps the rain to stay in one place longer, so it adds up on the rain totals instead of having a progressive storm system. So that's part of the issue there. And that's already, the state of Oklahoma had their wettest April ever. And I live in Springfield, and we had one for the record books, too. We had a very, very wet April here as well. Now, let's take a look at the drought monitor. And it's interesting because there is a little bit of drought in that very same area, that first area where I showed you the maximum of precipitation. So that's good news for them. The other area, maximum rainfall over the next 7 days, was here. So it's going to impact, hopefully, some of this drought area. It may not get South Texas as well as those folks would like, but it is going to have some impact. Let's look at those temperatures I was talking about. So here's the high temperature forecast for Friday. Actually, the numbers are the highs. The colors are telling you whether it's above or below the 30-year normals. So it's pretty toasty in the eastern part of the country and in the northwest, and cool in the central plains, especially in Texas, abnormally cool for this time of year with highs in the mid-60s there. On Sunday, the northern plains really start to heat up with readings well into the 80s, close to 90 degrees in portions of Montana and North Dakota. Meanwhile, the cool air shifts a little bit to the east coast, and it's also pretty cool where more upper-level systems will affect the southwestern U.S. This is, again, Sunday. Again, the numbers are the actual highs, and the colors are whether it's above or below normal. And then we'll skip ahead 2 more days, and we have a pattern of warmth that kind of splits in half in the northern plains here. Still an upper-level system that keeps things cool. Places like Denver, in fact, just around Estes Park, is that star, by the way, is the coolest high temperature forecast, and the red one is the highest. So that'll give you some idea. Let's take a look at the 500 millibar flow and what it's forecast to do. Here's the 500 millibar flow, and I use different models and different examples of this sometimes. This is something that is the GEFS, so it's the ensemble mean of the GFS, which is one of the main long-range forecast models, 500 millibar flow. And I show this to you because it tends to, what they do is they run the model several different times and change the initial conditions a little bit, and then they kind of do a mean flow. It kind of takes the outliers and throws them out a little bit. That's important because we have a lot of interesting interactions here. And I can't really call it a very stormy pattern, but it is a very interesting one with these little jet streaks and cutoff lows all over the place. So this is the way it was initialized this morning. If we move forward here to Friday morning, you can see there's a trough of low pressure right through the northern plains. That's going to keep that cool air I showed you just a second ago thriving in that part of the world. Then let's see, we go to Sunday morning, which is about right here. Notice we have a low over southern Indiana, a low over southern California, and then the opposite, we have a high pressure cell over North Dakota. That's where the hot temperatures are coming in up there. So it's a split pattern. It's actually sort of an omega block, which just means it forms the letter omega. I lost my ability to write on this screen, so I would show it to you. I think I did. Yeah, I did. But anyway, that's what happens when you stack these various weather systems like that. And then as we go through early next week, we have one system coming into Texas. This is Tuesday morning. That could be a severe weather maker for Texas, although the SPC has not pulled the trigger on that. Again, I can reference you to the severe weather outlooks video I do every morning to talk about that a little bit more. But generally speaking, it's a slow moving pattern, and one which features less storminess in general for the country. Still pretty active in Texas. But a lot of cool air showing up in places that maybe are kind of unusual for this time of year. But also we have little hot pockets as well, as you just saw on those temperature forecasts for the various days into early next week. Thanks for watching this edition of Weather to Watch. It comes out every other day, or as the weather necessitates. Please remember to share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel, or at the very least, like what you just watched. Thanks.